What if I told you there's an artifact that can rewrite the past? Not metaphorically, actually rewrite it. Change what happened, make different choices real, turn death into survival, survival into death, and leave no one remembering except the artifact itself. This is Edge of Eternities, one of Magic's newest stories taking place outside the multiverse, in a region called the Edge, bordering the blind eternities, where a dead star called Sothera was murdered by fanatics and turned into a supervoid, where two religious factions are at war over an object called the Endstone, and that object is alive. It's narrating the story, it's making choices about what timeline is real, and it's guiding everyone toward a being so powerful that even Tezzeret, who's seen Phyrexia, served Nicobolus, and survived impossible odds, is terrified of what he might find. We'll see events happen, then unhappen, then happen again differently. Characters will die and come back. Choices are unmade and remade, and through it all, the Endstone is watching. If you want to understand one of Magic's most ambitious narrative structure in years, hit that like button and subscribe. Comment down below your favorite card from the set. Let's talk about Sothera and the artifact from the end of everything. Before we meet the crew, we need to understand where they are. Sothera was a star, not a plane, an actual star with planets orbiting it. Susar Secundi, Adija, Kavaron, Evindo, Uthros, and others. A solar system with civilizations, space travel, and two competing religions. The Monoists worship Inevita, the inevitable heat death of the universe. They believe all things must end, that entropy is sacred, and that hastening the end is holy. They don't fear death, they embrace it as the next eternity. The Sunstar Free Company worship the sum, the total of all possible good outcomes across all timelines. They believe in maximizing life, light, and existence. They see the Monoists as death cultists. These two faiths have been at war for generations. Then the Monoists did something catastrophic. They killed Sothera itself. They used a weapon to collapse the star into a supervoid, a black hole that consumed the inner planets and created a region of space-time instability. This wasn't just murder, it was stellar genocide. The supervoid warps reality. It traps planeswalkers who enter. Tezzeret got ejected from the blind eternities and found himself stuck here, and it's created a region called the Edge, a space between normal reality and the blind eternities. In this system, there's one way out, the Infinite Guild Line, a massive station with an eternity column, a device that can punch through into warp space and let ships leave Sothera entirely, and everyone wants to get there, because everyone wants to escape. Our story centers on Captain Sami and their ship, the Serema. Sami isn't a hero, they're a courier, a smuggler, someone who takes jobs and keeps their head down. Their crew, Tanik, a hulking loyal friend from the planet Kavaron, and Miri, Sami's cat who goes missing early in the story. This will become very important later. Sami gets hired for a seemingly simple job: retrieve an object from an abandoned colony called Sigma's Reach and deliver it to someone called the Metal Man. When they arrive at Sigma's Reach, they find it completely empty. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just absence, like everyone had vanished. And they find the object, a glowing egg-like artifact in a stasis cask. The moment Sami touches it, they pass out. When they wake, time has passed differently than it should have, and they have the uncomfortable feeling that reality has changed. This is the Endstone, and it was waiting for them to arrive. Meanwhile, a Monoist acolyte named Alfarel is on a mission called Sakar, a ritual suicide where he's supposed to throw himself into the Sothera supervoid to reach the next eternity. But Alfarel hesitates. He has a sister, Raphaela, who was chosen for Sakar years ago. She went into the singularity willingly, and Alfarel has spent his life wondering if she's waiting for him there. He's supposed to throw a black hole bead, a singularity device the Monoists use, into the void and follow it. But he doesn't. He throws the bead away. And that's when he hears a voice, the Endstone, calling to him, telling him there's another way, that he doesn't have to die, that he has purpose, and that he's important. Alfarel is captured by the Sunstar Free Company, They're going to execute him. But their leader, Captain Slats, inexplicably lets him go. Slats doesn't know why he made that choice, but he made it. This is the Endstone's first visible intervention. It's rewriting probability, making unlikely things happen to guide people where it wants them to go. On the other side of the conflict is Haliya, a young squire to Sire Vondum, one of the Free Company's greatest knights. Haliya is idealistic. She believes in the sum. She trusts her knights absolutely, and she's about to have that faith shattered. Sire Vondum receives orders to hunt down Alfarel and retrieve an artifact he's seeking. During the hunt, Alfarel throws his black hole bead as a weapon. It goes through Vondum's skull. Multiple witnesses see it happen. The singularity device burns straight through his head and exits the other side. Vondum should be dead, but he survives. There's an entry wound, an exit wound, but somehow the bead passed through without destroying his brain. It's impossible, but it happened. And from that moment on, Vondum is, well, different. He knows things he shouldn't. He's obsessed with the artifact. He rants about how it's the greatest threat to the sum. Haliya realizes her knight isn't her knight anymore. Something happened when that bead went through his head, and she doesn't know if she can trust him. All three storylines converge on Kavaron, Tanick's homeworld. Sami and Tanick arrive to deliver the Endstone. Alfarel arrives seeking the artifact he's been told about. Haliya arrives hunting Alfarel. Things go catastrophically wrong. Alfarel gets his hands on the Endstone, and it gives him powers, phasing abilities, the capacity to manipulate probability, and worst of all, the ability to request revisions. When Haliya corners him, she's about to shoot Sami and Tanick. Alfarel, desperate, asks the Endstone for help, and reality revises. Suddenly, the timeline changes. Alfarel used a sedative injector to phase through Haliya's armor and knock her unconscious before she could fire. Sami and Tanick never died, or rather, they did in a timeline that no longer exists. But here's the cost. The Free Company, seeing Monoists on Kavaron, begins initiating Protocol 7, a devastating orbital bombardment. The revision happens mid-execution. Protocol 7 is incomplete when reality shifts, but the damage is already catastrophic. Kavaron's major population centers are destroyed. Thousands are dead. Tanick's people, his homeworld, not everyone, but enough. More than enough. And it's because Alfarel used the Endstone. The revision saved Sami and Tanick, but created circumstances that led to genocide. Sami invokes Malamas, a sacred law of guest right. Anyone aboard the Serema is under protection. Alphara and Haliya can't kill each other. The three of them, Sami, Alfarel, and Haliya, have to work together now. All of them are being hunted. The Monoists want the Endstone, the Free Company wants the Endstone, and neither faction will stop until they have it. They discuss what the Endstone actually is. Alfarel shares his experiences with it. Haliya reveals what happened to Sire Vondum, and Sami realizes something terrifying. The Endstone doesn't just change the past, it's guiding them. Every improbable survival, every unlikely coincidence, it's orchestrating it all. And it wants to reach the infinite guild line, to go through the eternity column, to leave Sothera and enter warp space. But why? Where does it want to go? They rendezvous with the Metal Man, and Sami reveals his real name to the others, Tezzeret. Tezzeret is trapped in Sothera just like everyone else. He's been studying the Edge, trying to understand it, looking for a way to escape. When he heard about the Endstone, he hired Sami to retrieve it. Now, seeing it in person, he's cautious. He's heard of what it does to people. And Tezzeret, who once grafted Phyrexian components into his body without hesitation, refuses to touch it. Not so long ago I would have grafted it into my body. Now I prefer to vet my improvements more thoroughly, he thought. He wants to speak with it, understand it, and most importantly, he wants to follow it to its maker. Because Tezzeret has realized something. The Endstone is incredibly advanced. It manipulates causality itself. Whoever made it has power beyond anything he's ever seen. And if he can sell the Endstone back to its creator, he might glimpse that power. Maybe even acquire it for himself. Sami proposes a plan. They'll send distress signals to both factions, claiming they're willing to surrender the Endstone. Both sides will converge on Infinite Guild Line, and in the chaos they'll sneak through the Eternity Column using a stolen warp ferry. Everyone agrees. It's risky, but it's their only shot. The plan mostly works. Both factions arrive at the Infinite Guild line, a massive blue-white starfish structure with the Eternity Column piercing through its center. They're preparing to fight each other, each side believing the other will try to seize the Endstone. Sami and Tanic request an audience with Infinite Guild line's controllers, an organization called Pinnacle that maintains the station. While they're talking, Alfarel and Haliya sneak off the Serema to commandeer a warp ferry, but Sire Vondum is waiting. He confronts Haliya, tells her to come back with him, to make things right with the Sum, that they can take the Endstone together and destroy it. Haliya refuses because Vondum ordered Protocol 7. He killed thousands of innocent Cav, and she can't forgive that. They fight, master versus student. It's brutal. Haliya knows she can't win in any conventional sense. Vondum trained her, he knows all her moves. So she uses a trick, a combat technique from her order's tactical database. It's something Vondum would never expect because it requires sacrificing honor for effectiveness. She manages to escape, but just barely. Just as the crew is about to make their escape, something even worse arrives. The Drix, entities that shouldn't exist in normal space. They manifest as enormous geometries, impossible shapes that hurt to perceive. Some describe them as space squids, others can't describe them at all. They're not from any plane. They move through warp space, existing in dimensions that don't align with standard reality. The battle erupts. Monoists and Sumists, who were about to fight each other, are now fighting the Drix together. The Infinite Guild line's defenses activate. The station deploys a Cherazad, a weapon that slows time around targeted areas. Sami, Tanic, Alfarel, and Haliya race back to the Serema. They need to consult the Endstone, figure out where it wants to go now. When they open the stasis cask, Miri, Sami's missing cat, jumps out first. She's been inside this cask the whole time, trapped with the Endstone, and she's fine. Sami is overwhelmed with relief. One thing, just one thing, is still right in her universe. Tezzeret and Alfarel consult with the Endstone. They project a map of Sothera and ask it, "Where do you want to go?" The Endstone responds. It shows them a location at the edge of the system, the Worm Wall, a region where reality is thinnest. They program the warp ferry, and as they're preparing to leave, the Endstone activates. A portal opens, not into warp space, into something else, and through it steps a being. It's impossible to fully describe, a form that suggests ancient connection to flesh, but has transcended it entirely. Wedge-shaped leaves beneath the diamond cod plate. It's finished, final, complete. Beauty as an abstraction made physical. The Gravkill Paladin who survives the encounter will later say it's the will of Innoveta. Whether the being is Innoveta, or merely serves it, or is something else entirely, no one knows. It speaks to Alfarel, calls him blessed for being touched by Sothera's core, and it takes the Endstone. Haliya attacks. She's trying to stop it, but the being simply reaches out and crushes her throat with casual yet overwhelming force. Sami tries to strike it with their makeshift weapon, but the being looks at them and says something that stops everyone cold. You'll come to nothing in the end. Then it leaves, taking the Endstone with it. The portal closes. Tezzeret is pleased. He saw what he wanted, a glimpse of higher power. He touches the severed fingers the being left behind, examines the pale purple light leaking from them. So, you do have something like a planeswalker, he says. That was very aspirational. And that's where the current storyline of Edge of Eternities ends. The Endstone is gone, taken from a being outside of time. Tezzeret got his glimpse of higher power. Sami has Miri back. Haliya is injured, but alive. Alfarel has lost his god, or found it, depending on how you interpret what just happened. But the war between Monoists and Sumists continues. Infinite Guildline is damaged, but functional. The supervoid still exists, and somewhere in Sothera's system, people are trying to survive in the ruins of a murdered star. Edge of Eternity is one of Magic's most experimental storyline in years. It's told through different sequences, different timelines that branch and merge as the Endstone manipulates causality. The narrator is the artifact. It's been guiding events from the beginning, choosing which timeline is real, orchestrating everyone's past to bring them to this moment. The Monoists weren't entirely wrong. Something does exist beyond normal time and space, but whether it's an Aveta, or merely its messenger, or something the Monoists completely misunderstood, that still remains unclear. And now it has the Endstone, an artifact capable of rewriting the past, in the hands of something that exists outside of the ordinary. This isn't a story about heroes winning. It's a story about cosmic forces using mortals as pieces in games they can't comprehend. About religious war revealing the uncomfortable truths. About artifacts that are more conscious than the people wielding them. If this deep dive into Edge of Eternities resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, what do you think the being was that stole the Endstone? Was it an Aveta, or was it something else entirely? Thanks for watching, and remember, some endings are inevitable. Others are just very, very probable. We'll dive in again soon.